Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Slim Reshae here, aka Jasmine, and I am back with another beginner series makeup video. So if you haven't checked out my first two videos for the beginners makeup series, make sure you click the link up here so you can watch those videos. The very first one was a beginner's starter makeup kit with 5 drugstore products you need to have your hands on if you are just now getting into makeup, or if you're a little bit versed with makeup but you're trying to scale it back and do just like a little subtle slay. The second video was all about brushes and tools, all the brushes and tools that I used in the initial video, as well as an affordable brush set for you guys. So today's video is a highly asked question from those two videos, which is, what is my shade? How do I know what my foundation shade is? How can I figure this out? So if you guys are interested in this video, please keep on watching. All right, so I jotted down a few notes about different things you should know when it comes to finding your perfect foundation shade. The first thing you need to know is you're 98% not gonna find your perfect foundation shade.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Because it's just so much uniqueness in each person's skin tone, their skin type, and all that stuff, that you are probably not gonna fit in the 20 to 40 shade range that's available to you. You will find something very close though, so don't be discouraged. I'm gonna let you know how to find the closest shade for you. First, I've been trying to figure this out for a while, so in some videos you might see my skin isn't matching my neck, or like my foundation is a little too red, a little too yellow, a little too light, a little too dark. I've been trying to figure this thing out for a while. So I don't know a perfect match for my skin, but I do have some that are really close that I'll share with you. And then also I know how to make it work when the shade is a little bit off, and I'll share that with you as well. So before I get into swatching and things like that, I wanted to share with you a few do's and don'ts when it comes to finding your foundation shade. Do's: you want to swatch in store if possible. So drugstores usually don't have any products open for you to swatch. So if you're looking for drugstore products, I would go find a local Ulta Beauty and go there and swatch them in store, because they do have samples available for you to open up and look for your shades, things you think might match, and then you can swatch them on your face and get, like, in real time out the bottle on your face what this shade looks like. So you want to go ahead and swatch it in store, and Ulta Beauty is the perfect place to do that for drugstore products. If you want to purchase more high-end products, you can always go to Sephora and swatch in store. They also have a Sephora IQ thing where they take pictures of your skin, and then it generates this number, and then it can match foundations that match that number of what your skin tone should be. And usually it's pretty accurate in all the times that I've used it. And then another thing with Sephora, you can always get samples of the foundation. So if you want to go in and you want to get, Fenty Beauty foundation, but you don't want to spend the $34 to get it right this second unless you know it's going to match, you need to go in there, ask someone to help you to kind of like figure out which shade matches you the best, and then have them give you a sample of it. If you're between 2 shades, you can get 2 samples of it, and then you want to take it home, practice with it on your face, and see which one you feel matches the best. So do swatch in store. That is my #1 do, and get a sample if you can. For drugstore products, I don't think Ulta does samples, but since you can swatch it in store and kind of figure out which shade you want to get, then you can go ahead and purchase it. And usually drugstore foundations, they done got a little bit more pricey, but they usually don't go over like $15. With that being said, I do suggest asking for assistance. But when you ask for assistance, you always want to trust your personal judgment, because a lot of times people who work in those stores, they're not makeup artists, but they can try and guesstimate what's gonna kind of match. That's like if I told you, yes, you are MAC NC45 from across the screen, whatever TV screen, laptop, iPad, iPhone you looking at, the Android that you watching this video on. Like if I told you, yeah, you're NC45, that might not be accurate, even though I think it's accurate. Like, you want to trust your own judgment. So don't like think, you know, whatever the sales associate says, it is what it is, like you are that shade, because sometimes they're off. So you want to trust your own judgment. Make sure you're looking at your skin in all different types of light. I know this is a lot of information. Take your notes. I hope I'm not talking too fast, but I really want to kind of not make this video too long, but also give you all the information that I think you need when going into the store to find your shade for the first time, or if you ain't been getting it right, I'm trying to help you as best as I can. When you get matched or you go in the store, the sales associate helps match you or whatever, you want to take whatever match they say, either after they're done helping you or whatever, and you want to apply it to your face in the way that you would normally apply your makeup. So instead of just like having them do like a little swatch and kind of blend it out, and then they show it to you and you're like, dang, I can't even see it. Sometimes they only apply like a thin layer and they blend it out so much that you don't see it. So then when you come home and you packing it on and you're like, this don't match, that's the disconnect there. So you want to make sure when you're in store swatching it, you know, go on the other side where they didn't swatch and cover the whole cheek and see how it looks based on how you normally like apply your foundation. So if you're heavy-handed, do that and see if it still matches in store while you're in store. And then you also want to see how it matches in all light. So don't just sit under the light that they have where you're in like the testing stations, because sometimes those lights drown out the actual shade. So you want to kind of turn away from that. Go from the store light, look what it looks like. Take a selfie with your phone while you're in the store and see what it looks like. And then if it's all kind of matching up, then you know like that's probably the best shade for you. Some don'ts that I have or suggest is don't solely swatch on your hand. So I'm gonna include at the very end of this video 2 clips of me in store trying to discreetly describe, you know, how I go in store and swatch them. And I do say I swatch on my hand, which I do swatch on my hand. But as you can see, my hand is a slightly different color than my face. So if you solely just go by what it looks like on your hand and you don't swatch it on your face, then you might have a color discrepancy between the two. So don't solely use your hand, but you can use your hand if you can use your hand, just don't solely depend on that to be like your exact face match. Don't go to the store with makeup on. If you're gonna go to get swatched and matched, do not go to the store with makeup on, because either one, you're gonna have to wipe it off and just mess up your makeup. And then 2, like if you don't go barefaced, then your skin is not like how it would be if you were about to apply some makeup, which is barefaced. Hopefully you should apply it barefaced after moisturizer and primer. So just go to the store barefaced, flaws and all. This how you gonna get me. And then swatch it so you can really see compared to your actual skin tone. And then last but not least, don't be afraid to take it back. I'm not a return person and I don't like, you know, returning stuff to the store, but you are able, in most cases, if you haven't like used a whole bunch, or if you just tried it once and you're like, it ain't the right shade, 9 times out of 10, the stores will exchange it for the correct shade. So again, don't be afraid to bring it back to the store and say, hey, this one doesn't match like I thought it did. Can you exchange it or something like that? Also, that's a big deal why you want to swatch in store. And if you can, go to Ulta for drugstore or Sephora and test and swatch it on your face. And Sephora is great, even though they don't have drugstore products. It's really great for you to be able to take a sample home and see, you know. And you know, I don't know if this is, I just had an idea, but I'm not suggesting it to you guys because I don't know whether this is something you can or can't do. But if you brought like a little container or something and squirted some of the tester in it, I'm not sure if you could do that at Ulta, but I would ask before I do it so they don't think like you're stealing. But it's a tester. I don't know. I've never done it. So I would ask like, hey, Ulta assistant sales associate, do y'all do samples? And if you don't, is someone able to like take a sample of the testers home? That's something you can ask. I never thought about that until just now, but don't say I sent you to go do it because I don't know if you're able to do it or not, but disclaimer. And then my last tip before I get into the actual swatches is you will more likely than not, get the wrong shade your first time or your first couple of times. I mean, some of these foundations I have are still the wrong shade, but I make it work. So with that being said, you know, good luck. It's not that hard, honestly. You just have to, like I said, go in the store and swatch it yourself. So this is my foundation collection. A few things you kind of need to know about your skin is what type of skin do you have? Do you have oily skin, dry skin, or combination skin? I used to have super oily skin where I would get oily all right here during the day. Because of my skincare routine, it kind of strips a lot of the moisture from my face, so my skin is a little bit dry. So I say that I'm combination skin. Sometimes I use dewy foundation, sometimes I use matte foundation with like a moisturizing primer. It's just whatever, you know. If you know your skin is oily and you should stay away from like dewy foundations. You want to go the matte route. If your face is super dry, you don't want to go the matte route. You want to go dewy, radiant, like that. I'm just going to use the foundations from the makeup starter kit, which is the Maybelline Fit Me. I currently have 3 different shades I currently have 4 different shades in the Maybelline Fit Me, and these are the shades, and it is 355, 340, 338, and 330. So this is the shade range that I have. And as you can see, compared to my hand, none of them really match. Maybe this one right here, but none of them really match. And you can see this one and this one are a little bit more red. So outside of knowing what type of skin you have, oily, combination, dry, you also want to know like what are your undertones. So like I think I am kind of golden, a little bit neutral undertones, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I still do not understand warm versus cool, because when I think warm, I think red, but I think warm in makeup is more golden and cool is more like, I'm not sure. So I don't want to confuse you. Skip over this part if I confused you. But you want to know what your undertones are. So do you kind of look a little olivey? Do you look yellow like a yellow bone? Do you look red like a red bone? So I think I'm kind of golden, a little bit neutral. That's just my guesstimation. Jackie Aina, she swatches on her neck, or on her chest, which is a very good place to swatch because you kind of want your face to match your chest as well as your neck. And if all 3 is 3 different colors, then you're gonna have to choose either your chest or your neck to match your face to, and either blend it down your neck or blend a little on your chest. It's up to you. But mine are not too far apart. So I'll take 330. And of course, all these aren't my current shade, but in the summer, usually you're gonna be a little bit darker versus in the winter. So some of these light shades are my winter shades. So this is 330, and I'm just gonna put that right there. And you can see it's a little bit lighter. It is a little bit lighter. So now we're gonna do 338. And if you want to, when you go in store to swatch it, wear a V-neck shirt so you can do a little swatch on your chest. This is 338. So it's a little bit more orange. A bit more orange. And then we got 340. Ooh, 340 about empty. So 340 is a little bit more golden. A little bit more golden. Right now, it does kind of look like 338 is matching the best because you can barely see it on camera. So even though it's a little bit red, it does look like it matches the best on camera, which is why you also want to look at it in different lighting. So this might be drowning out the redness of 338. Okay? And so last but not least, I have 355. And 355 is a little bit red as well. So 355 is a little bit darker than 338, but kind of the same undertone. So I would say 330 is kind of neutral. 338 is like peachy. 340 is golden. And 355 is a little red. So out of all of these, if you're swatching more than one, you can kind of just look and see which one not from a super far, but which one from afar you can't really see. And I feel like this one, between these two, are the closest matching shades. Now, when you swatch in store, you also want to make sure the foundation dries down, because a lot of times, or not a lot of times, but sometimes foundations oxidize. Like for instance, the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter foundation in 410. I'm just gonna do it up right here. This foundation oxidizes. So right now, 410 looks like a median between 340 and 355. And it's right here. Again, you could barely see it from afar, so you kind of know like that's probably gonna be the best matching, but you wanna let it dry down because some foundations oxidize. And oxidize basically means like changes color once it settles in the skin. That's my definition. Now, because I'm me and I prefer a golden tone than a red tone, I would go with 340 Cappuccino for my foundation shade. And I could also use 338, but either of these I could make work. So you always want to go a little bit darker than lighter, in my opinion, on your foundations, because if I went this light and went with 330, I would have to kind of deepen my overall face base to kind of match the rest of my body, which means I would have to use like bronze and contour and add some more warmth to my face for the foundation to work for me. Now, if you use a darker shade, I'm gonna highlight each time. So if I'm using a concealer to highlight, it's usually gonna be 1 or 2 shades lighter than my foundation, which if my foundation is a little bit too dark, that means it's gonna just automatically like mellow out my overall face base. And as you can already see, my natural skin, it's lighter up under here on the nose, the center of my forehead and the chin than it is on the hollows of my cheeks and around the edges of my face. So that's kind of why you don't want your face to be all one shade. If you just put on foundation and do just all one shade, you're gonna look very flat and not dimensional, which is why people use highlighter or concealer and contour shades, bronzer, stuff like that. And then while we're on shades, how do I find my concealer shade? Your concealer, you want your concealer to be 1 to 2 shades lighter than your foundation. So you don't want to go too light, and then you also want to pay attention to the undertones. So like I said, I like a more golden undertone. So when I go for my LA Girl Pro concealers, I'll do like a fawn is a very good one. It's about 1 shade lighter. Sometimes I use cool tan, warm beige. It just depends on how I'm feeling. Sometimes I go lighter just so I can get a super highlighted look. And yeah, if you do invest and get you some Fenty Beauty, the concealers are very easy to kind of pick out because they coincide with the numbers of the foundation shades, which like 410 in the foundation and 410 in the concealer are not exactly the same. They're complementary. So I would say it's roughly like a half a shade lighter than your foundation. So you can go with that for a natural look, or you can bump down to the next concealer shade that has the same like description, neutral or olive or golden, whichever one. It has it on the like kiosk where you have the display. It kind of has all of the descriptions of the undertones there. So Fenty Beauty does make it easy for you to kind of match, and then you just go from there. That's all I got, guys. These are the swatches. They're pretty much dried down. I still would stick probably with 338. I stick between 338 and 340 for my shades. Definitely see 330 in the winter, so you guys can kind of see. This is gonna be the best shade in my opinion, or this shade. And like I said, I like golden, so I would go with this golden shade before I go with either of these shades because they're a little bit more red. And as you can see, they have like the foundations, and I know that I am not in this shade range because this is too light. So I'm gonna be one of these shades. The best one that I think from looking would probably be like this one. And this one's deep golden. It's a little bit darker. It would be between these two. And I've actually bought this foundation, and I know that this one's my shade. And that one, it doesn't exactly match, but out of what's available, it's the best thing, the closest thing that'll match to me. Now it's really hard when you're doing a shade like this because the bottle is frosted, so it's hard to tell. Now I know I'm in Soft Sable, which is this shade right here, but that shade, again, you can't tell through this bottle that it will match my hand. I try to match the foundations to the back of my hand when I'm in the store where I can't swatch them. So like I said, again, I'll hold my hand up, and with the overall tone of like my skin, these are like too red. So I would have to go like one of these three. And I'm meeting in the middle because this one might be too dark, but this one is going to be too light. So this one might match pretty good, and it does match pretty good. So I'm gonna kind of explain to you guys other things to look for when you're looking for a foundation in a store where you can't swatch them off camera. But since y'all wanted this video, I wanted to just kind of show you how I go through and select. So that's the L'Oreal Infallible, which is a really good foundation, by the way. We can go over to the Maybelline Fit Me, which is the one that I recommended to you guys. As you can see, like all of these are way too light, so I would be down in this range. So like, you want to look at the undertones. Sorry, this is such a ghetto recording, but you want to look at the undertones. So again, like these are going to be too light, so I need to go like here. Probably would go, again, 355 Coconut is one that I use a lot because these two are pretty much a little bit red. I also use 338 too. And then they also have pictures to kind of help you match up with what your skin tone is. So these two are kind of my skin tone. This one might be a little bit dark, a little bit red, but this is like my shade range compared to my hand. So that's how I do it. Okay, so when you pick out your foundation shade, it says Ulta test. So Ulta does have different makeups available for you to test them out to see if it matches your shade. And usually, so this is coconut. I usually match it to the back of my hand. And I only have one hand on my camera and one to show you these products. So I'm not going to be able to swatch them for you. And I'm not, this is 338 Spicy Brown. So this is kind of what I match. But you have so many different options. And so you kind of want to match it to your overall shade. That's all, folks, for this educational session of the beginner makeup series with Slim. I hope I educated you guys a little bit. Good luck with finding your foundation matches, and I'll see y'all in the next video. I love you guys so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for 80K, you guys. We are on the way to 100K. On the way to 100K. That's so crazy. Anyway, I love y'all. Make sure y'all check out the website, subscribe, like this video, hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and join the gem squad, because we are all gems, okay? We are all beautiful, and you guys know I always tell y'all to never forget, at the end of the day, without regrets, love yourself and be you to full. Bye, guys.